come to this podcast.
Because it is the most fabulous podcast
on all the
lands.
The internet lands.
The land of the net with Sandra Bullock.
I love that movie.
Welcome to the podcast.
And welcome to Family Home Evening. I can talk.
We're not even drunk yet. Wait, you look a little glassy-eyed.
Listen, somebody is tired.
Okay, well then, shall we both enjoy our first sip of alcohol of the evening?
Sure. But we didn't finish what the name of this podcast was.
Oh,
because you didn't finish it. You're the one that failed, not me.
It's Family Home Evening.
With Bad Mormons!
There it is.
Cheers.
Let's get drunk.
Okay. Good times. We decided not to take a shot of whiskey before starting, just because we wanted to be somewhat coherent by the end of it.
What's the word we're using for vagina now instead of calling people vaginas?
A trumper.
Someone was a little baby I don't want to call you that.
Yeah, thank you. I hate that.
I was all for drinking the whiskey.
And I said no.
And I would have been really sad all day hungover at work tomorrow.
You're welcome.
So, we made the right choice.
I'm coming off of a bit of a bender. I was in Austin, Texas, and, I worked hard and I played hard. And I'm only just now not hungover from it today. So, and I got home on Tuesday.
Getting old's fucking stupid.
It's so stupid. So, I mean, I've heard some really good things about the IV, liquid IV. You put it in your water, I guess.
Yeah, I have a bunch of it.
Well, where were you yesterday or the day before?
Sorry. You didn't ask. I'll bring you home a stash.
Thank you. I need it.
From the natural and organic grocer, which employs me.
That shall not be named.
It shall not be named ever. Or there shall be consequences for naming the unnameable corporate entity.
Excellent. But yeah, so fun times.
I really love this wine.
I know you do.
You're still not loving it?
I mean, I don't hate it. Maybe because I
smoky...
know it's not expensive, I don't like it.
I thought the smoky earthiness would get you, but no, I guess not.
It's the tannins. It's too puckery for me. I mean, I don't hate it. I'll drink the shit out of it. I mean, I'm drinking it. But would I sit there and tell everybody that it's the best wine in all the land?
Would you
I can't stop with that voice.
Would you go buy 10 bottles of it at Trader Joe's?
Well, we did. Would I do it again? Maybe.
In case you guys are wondering what we're talking about, we're talking about the Trader Joe's Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon from Columbia Valley, the Wahluke Slope. I want to say Waluke Slope, but
that's Hawaiian.
Probably from Washington, and that's not how it's pronounced, I guarantee you. Anyways, it's delicious.
Yeah, it's good. And it was, what, $4.99?
No, it was $9.99. Do you like it better now?
Oh my God, it's so much more delicious.
Listen, just because you decided to get linen sheets on your bed,
dude,
doesn't
I didn't
mean
think
you're
I'd
all
be a
fancy.
boozy bitch, but apparently I'm boozy as shit. Bougie. I'm boozy too, but
fuck yeah. Those linen sheets.
I can't wait to go to bed.
You're gonna love it. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Mandi got some sheets, and then she told me how much they cost, and I was like, bitch, why would you spend that much money on sheets? And she's like, oh, well, they're linen sheets, Charlotte. They're amazing. And I'm like, well, okay, so they come in. I feel them. I'm like, Mandi, they don't even feel that soft. They get softer with every wash. I'm like, we'll see about that. So she washes them. She puts them on her bed. I jump into her bed, and I lay there for a while. And I'm like, I got to go buy some sheets. So then I went to my bed, where I got on the phone and bought some sheets. Now I get to be bougie, too.
The sheets are from a company called Brooklinen. And when we bought the sheet, or at least when I bought my set of sheets, they give you an option at the end, like, how did you hear about us? And I was like, oh, I heard about you from a podcast. Really? Which one? Family Home
Evening. I did that, too. I totally did that. And I'm like, oh, I got Family Home Evening with Bad Mormons. You're welcome. But that's so fucking funny. I didn't even know you did that, but I did the exact same thing. Because I was like, how'd you... And I was like, what? Would Mandi get, like, a referral bonus? And then it said podcast. Well, let me just see here. So if you guys decide to go buy some Brooklinen sheets...
Yeah. Give us a little
love
at the end of your purchase there. But for real, seriously, I wish I would have known about this for the entire almost 10 years that I lived in Hawaii, because They are meant for warm climates and or hot sleepers. They're super breathable, and
I'm both.
Yeah, it's like changed my life. So highly, highly recommend. And who knew that linen sheets were like an heirloom that people passed down to their family members?
Actually, that's what did it. You're like, they're like an heirloom. I'm like, that sounds like, I mean, I won't have any children ever, but I'm just like, I need them. If it's something that's worth handing down to somebody, I need it.
It's some of that rich people shit that we didn't grow up with.
I want to be rich.
Because we were poor as fuck, eating government cheese and those canned whole chickens that you know opened up that were in their own jelly substance. Were you ever subjected to that?
A little bit, not a whole lot. Like, it wasn't so bad.
It said Deseret Industries on it.
I don't remember the cheese.
Yeah.
But no, I lived with Mom, so I didn't get a whole lot of government food, just a little bit.
Yeah, no more. And now we sleep in linen sheets and drink expensive wine and
hell yes.
Fucking paint pictures. Record our voices for posterity.
Right? I'm all about it.
Hey, shout out to our patrons.
Hey, patrons. Thanks for being rad. Without you, I don't know what I would do with myself.
It's true. You guys are the fucking shit. Thank you so much for supporting our show. We love you, and we hope you're enjoying all your goodies. We haven't done we were just talking about this, we haven't done a Zoom happy hour yet for our top tier patrons, so we're going to set that up, and you guys can be a part of the majesty which is behind me on the wall right now that you can't see.
It's pretty great.
But we have a giant wall tapestry with our logo on it.
And if you're not yet in our top tier, that gives you time to get into our top tier so you can be part of our Zoom ridiculousness.
I was just going to say, you can be part of the ridiculousness because it's going to get sloppy.
Oh, it's going to be so bad. I mean, no, it's going to be great. Please don't record me and put it on the internet like I'm doing right now.
Let's see. If this is your first time joining us for our podcast, we like to do a little portion of time where we repent for the things we've done and said in the past week.
That may not be accurate, or just that we're embarrassed about, or, fill in the blank.
Perhaps we partook of a little too much of the Angel's Anus whiskey.
That's right.
And maybe got super drunk, slurring to the point where the editing was a complete fucking nightmare. But I think I pulled it off.
I'm so fucking sorry.
Oh, why are you apologizing? It was me.
Oh, that's good. I'm good. It wasn't me this time?
No, it was me. And then we had Tiffany on, and then we tried to record a second podcast about dragging Maine, which any of our Logan listeners would be well familiar with. And I was so bad that she kept wanting to do like a little bit, and she kept saying, I'm sorry, but this, and then I would interrupt her and be like, oh, it's okay, I'm sorry. And then she'd be like, no, that's the thing that I'm trying to, the funny joke. And then literally 7 or 8 times in a row.
I remember that now.
We did it.
And I was like, no, Mandy, that's part of how she's segueing into her bit.
And I was just so drunk, and then when it came for my part of the story, I remember just like completely shutting down and being like, I can't talk. I can't do this. But the stories were good, and we have them on deck for a future episode if you want to tune in and listen to us talk about dragging Maine.
Oh my god, that totally deserves a repentance. It was such a shit show.
I haven't even listened to it.
And Tiffany was so sober that she's just like, are you fucking kidding me? And like, don't be mad at me.
So yeah, I repent for that. Definitely.
Maybe that'll be something the patrons will get to partake in.
Oh, I haven't even listened to it. I don't know that I'm going to let anyone else. You should just
release it. Release it without ever listening to it, and just let them be the judge.
You know what? Maybe I will.
I'm going to say, they pay good money for solid content, and that is some solid fucking content.
It's the opposite of solid content.
It's sloppy, but I'm sorry, that would make me laugh a lot.
Maybe. Okay, I'll think about it.
All right. Well, you guys tell us, you patrons, is that something that interests you? Do you want to sit through some sloppy dialogue? Let us know and we'll give it to you because you pay us. You pay us.
We definitely have to repent. We almost got canceled by the internet last week because we couldn't remember the name of the bar in the Harry Potter universe.
Oh, right.
Which is, listeners, we all knew. We were just too drunk to remember that it was the Leaky Cauldron.
Oh, right. We were saying like Smoky Cauldron or something.
You were saying Rusty Trombone.
Oh, I don't remember that. This is why we don't do shots of whiskey, Mandy. God.
And Diagonal Alley. You were saying Diagonal Alley, and I was like, I think that sounds right.
Diagonal.
Diagon Alley. The Leaky Cauldron.
I'm not a fucking nerd. Yes, I am. But I'm a nerd that can't read.
I never learned to read.
Oh, shit.
So there's that. I would also like to go ahead and repent for... There was a good portion of the podcast last week that was devoted to The Purge. I've never seen The Purge, so I'd like to repent for that.
We can rectify that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to repent because I only vaguely remember not being able to say the word, and now I'm not going to be able to say it. Monopolize. See, look, there I'm on the spot. I can't say it. Monopolize.
Yeah, but you were trying to say monopolization.
Monopolization.
But you were throwing some extra T's in there and stuff. And it was so funny.
Sounds about right.
I was like, okay, we'll cut it and re-record. And it was just so funny that I had to leave it all in there because there wasn't even a single take that it was right.
Monopolization.
Phenomena. So yeah, last week was a shit show. Go ahead and tune in if you're into that sort of thing. And if you're not, maybe just skip that one.
Right. If you're like, what is wrong with these ladies? Maybe, only listen for a minute and go, and on to the next.
It was pretty funny, though, even though we didn't actually get to tell any stories because of the...
Did we tell no stories?
We told no stories. Because of the
Perfect.
Angels... Well, it's called Angels Envy Whiskey. It was very
Angel's
good.
Anus.
And Charlotte renamed it Angel's Anus.
Oh, good. I'm really funny when I black out.
But yeah, no stories. But don't worry, we've got stories for you this week.
All right. So, what do we have, though? Before the stories, what do we have for Mormon Corner?
So glad you asked, Charlotte. Because what family home evening would be complete without a story from the Lord?
From Jesus.
From this book is called The Miracle of Forgiveness. It's written by Spencer W. Kimball, who, as a child, I would pray to. I would cross my arms and, Dear Heavenly Father, please bless this food, and please bless President Kimball, that he may live in strength and something or other. I forget the chant, but there was a chant. And
so
every
he was the
time,
stake president?
No, he was the president of the church.
Oh.
The whole church.
He was the Warren Jeffs of...
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, but he probably didn't molest little kids.
But we
you
don't
never
know that.
Yeah, you never know. And yeah, please bless President Kimball that he may something. If anybody
live
can
forever.
If anybody can remember that chant, send us a message on Instagram because it's going to drive me crazy now.
I never learned how to pray. Like, Dad, because I'd only pray when I'd come to visit, right? And like, Charlotte, do you want to give prayer or whatever? And I'm like, Dear Heavenly Father, please bless this food that it might nourish our bodies or something. And that we can be safe and that we'll all love each other. Amen.
That sounds about perfect.
Yeah. Just about as good as those 4-year-olds that go up and say, I know this church is true. Because my sister took 2 steps for her very first time and she's like 3.
All right. Well, the man himself, Spencer W. Kimball, wrote this book called The Miracle of Forgiveness. And I'm going to read you a little bit from chapter 6. It's called Crime Against Nature.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly. That's a scripture, Romans 1:26 and 27.
So, I thought they were talking about dude sex, but they're talking about, well, go on.
Well, likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman.
Right, but I think that they're talking about jerking it.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to make sure that that having sex with a woman is the use of the woman.
Oh, right. That's their purpose.
The natural use of the woman. Right? That's...
Oh, good.
Burned in their lust towards one another. The men forgetting the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust towards one another. That's man and man lust. Men with men working that which is unseemly.
I mean, some dudes are hot.
Yeah, they are.
Some dudes have to get with other hot dudes.
That's true. It's totally true. Okay, let's read what Spencer W. Kimball has to say about this. Most youth come into contact early with masturbation. Many would-be authorities declare that it's natural and acceptable, and frequently young men I interview cite these advocates to justify their practice of it. To this, we must respond that the world's norms in many areas, drinking, smoking, and sex experience generally, to mention only a few, depart increasingly from God's law. The church has a different, higher norm.
Of course they do.
Thus, prophets anciently and today condemn masturbation. It induces feelings of guilt and shame. You know what? Not for normal people.
No.
Only for church people. Let's get real here. It is a detriment to spirituality. It indicates slavery of the flesh, not that mastery of it and the growth towards godhood, which is the object of our mortal life. That's only men, though, right? Like, ladies can't.
Ladies can bang all day
gods.
long. Oh, right. No, of course they can't.
We don't get the growth towards godhood. So this chapter is specifically for men. Unlike the previous book we read called Woman, which is directed towards us.
Directly forever. Oh, look, Spencer Kimball's a writer on this one, too. Perfect.
He's so smart. Our modern prophet has indicated that no young man should be called on a mission who is not free from this practice. You jerk it, you can't go on a mission.
Like, ever? Like, you can't have jerked it ever, or you have to have stopped, like, 2 months prior?
I don't know. I bet you that there's a timeline. You definitely have to repent for it and be deemed worthy again.
Got it. Get your temple recommend. Right?
I don't know if kids can do that, but probably. Because I think I had to get one to go baptize the dead bodies. Well, I mean, the dead spirits. Sorry, not the actual bodies.
I like to envision it the other way, though.
It's better, isn't it?
Right?
Okay. While we should not regard this weakness as the heinous sin which some other sexual practices are...
Anal sex.
I think you can guess what he's talking about there. It is of itself bad enough to require sincere repentance. Okay? What is more, it too often leads to grievous sin, even to that sin against nature, homosexuality.
Of course,
I knew it was coming.
Of course.
For, done in private, it evolves often into mutual masturbation, practiced with another person of the same sex, and thence into total homosexuality. That's not real. No. That is some made-up bullshit. I don't know what you did when you were a kid, Spencer W. Kimball, but that's not normal. Okay, the next paragraph starts, Sin of the Ages. Homosexuality is an ugly sin, repugnant to those who find no temptation in it, as well as to many past offenders who are seeking a way out of its clutches. That's also some bullshit. It's an ugly sin, repugnant to those who find no temptation in it. The people who find it repugnant and who are completely vocal about how terrible and awful it is are the people who get caught in fucking airport bathrooms giving each other blowjobs.
Right.
And
100%.
You know. So, did we just discover a little secret about Spencer W. Kimball? I don't know. I'm not saying we did.
Likely.
But it's possible. It is embarrassing and unpleasant as a subject for discussion, but because of its prevalence, we need to warn the uninitiated with the desire to help those who may already be involved with it.
And talk about it in detail. Slowly. Over a nice hot cup of postum. Well, it reminds me of one of my friends, Jen, was telling me there's a documentary. I think it's like a couple part documentary on the Discovery Plus app channel, whatever. Like, you have to pay for it. that goes into detail about like gay conversion camps, and it shows both sides. I mean, not that there's any other side than that it's fucking horrible, but they do interviews with people who have been cured, and I say that in quotations, who believe that, right? And it's just like, oh, that's really fucking sad. And then you see people that was the worst time of my life and I was suicidal, and you know what it does to most people, right?
Right. He says, as far back as Henry VIII, this vice was referred to as the abominable and detestable crime against nature. That's in quotes. Some of our own statutes have followed that apt and descriptive wording. Sin in sex practices tends to have a snowballing effect. As the restraints fall away, Satan incites the carnal man to ever-deepening degeneracy in his search for excitement, until in many instances he is lost to any former considerations of decency. Thus, it is that through the ages, perhaps as an extension of homosexual practices, men and women have sunk even to seeking sexual satisfactions with animals.
What a douche.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
It's the same bullshit of like, can I marry my cat now? I mean, duh, people are stupid.
God, for real. Ugh.
I have a theory about why people started like not liking homosexuality. I wonder if it's like, you know, when you hang out with a group of people in high school and then they just start like not including you into things. And so like some dudes just weren't included into the group sex. And then like, I never wanted to have sex with you anyways. Homosexuality is a sin. I'm pretty sure that's how it started. Like back in the day.
Probably. It's like, Socrates, I never even wanted to suck your dick.
How dare you? I'm gonna go over here, hang out with these ladies.
Well, did you hear about that guy? I don't even remember his name because I don't care, but he just gave a speech at BYU.
I try to not know anything about BYU, but go on.
This guy, Holland.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I haven't seen it, but I've seen everybody doing memes about what a piece of shit he is.
Yeah, right. It's, his name is, who fucking cares? Some guy. Some church guy. Jeffrey Holland.
Yeah.
He's an apostle. So he's, basically, there's the president of the church, and then there's 12 people below him that are apostles.
Like Jesus.
They call it the quorum of the 12.
That's fucking...
Isn't it stupid? I know.
Oh my god. No, I mean, but like, seriously, like, Jesus had 12 apostles. Like, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah. That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, so this guy's one of them.
Of course he is.
And, he gives this speech basically to saying that, like, oh, people don't want to send their families to BYU anymore. People don't want to donate money to the university anymore because, you guys are, straying too far from the church. And we need to, basically, he used the word muskets. Like, we need to bring up our muskets and fire against these practices of homosexuality. And I actually tried to read the speech so I could be a little bit more prepared to talk about it,
right?
But it was so fucking boring. And I tried to skip to the good parts, and I was just like, I can't read this garbage. Like, this guy's such a piece of shit.
What a douche. And like, I'm so proud of like our aunt and people who have left the church over this shit, and was like, oh my god, you guys, like, I always knew you were awesome, but like now I just know you're like the most awesome.
Yeah. Well, you can't teach. We grew up in a family that taught us to love other people, to
include
look out
people.
for other people.
Yeah, always go for the help out the underdog, always.
Exactly. Our parents taught us that. You know what I mean? Our aunts taught us that. That was our family. And you can't believe that and then be a part of this church that's constantly like demeaning and demoralizing and actively like hurting people who are already marginalized.
Right. Right.
Fuck that shit.
Fuck that shit.
So it is. You're right. It is super awesome that they've dropped that like a shot of Fireball.
Right.
I was gonna say hot potato, but
it's like no. You know what's hot? Fireball.
Thank you. That was exactly my thought process.
Fabulous.
But yeah, and then like all the university professors there are like, you can't have a university, you can't have PhD, educated thinkers. You can have a think tank of really smart people and expect us to not do our jobs. Like, we can't just live in this backwoods society that's a fairy tale land that you guys created. It's just, that's not a university. If you want to have
that's your
church,
cult.
If you want to have a church university, you can't be a leader in the field of education and also,
which, to be fair, I don't know how BYU has any accreditation anyways.
Well, they do. Because
No, I know that they do.
Because
yeah.
they have really smart people, and they actually have, they're progressive.
I'm just saying, it's a Mormon university. I don't know why anyone would go there, but
Said from a person who doesn't know anything about going to universities or why people would choose one.
I did college once.
You did?
We took sewing classes at Saddleback, the community college. I also took a history of rock class, and I took sociology. Okay. And actually, oddly enough, I got my best grade in sociology, but I didn't care enough to go back.
You did more than I did.
Right? Well, the sewing really, that was clench. Mm-hmm. Clutch. It clenched my... I got nothing.
Before we leave Mormon Corner, I've got one more thing I want to add. I pulled this up from the Mormon Trail Cookbook. This is in the health and beauty section. It's how to clear a tanned skin. So if you're Buffalo Billing it and you've got some poor girl that you want to skin her and make a dress, you wash the skin with a solution of carbonate of soda, which is baking soda, and a little lemon juice, and then with the juice of unripe grapes.
Oh.
That's how you clear a tanned skin.
Very good. And the drink I'll pair that with is Chianti.
Maybe some fava beans.
Chianti. Perfect. All right. Well, cool shit. What's going on? Bye, Mormon Corner.
Bye. We'll see you next week.
What's going on, cool shit?
I am really super fucking uber jealous of anybody who was in Los Angeles at the Forum last night.
Not even going to tell you my story, but go on.
Because the Foo Fighters were playing, and it turns out that there was 1 billion open seats at the last minute because people didn't realize it was a vaccinated show. Like, there wasn't even the option to say, hey, I don't have COVID, here's my negative test. Like, you had to be vaccinated or not see the show, which...
Way to go, Dave Grohl. That's fucking rad.
Right? Props, again, to Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl is like a saint. You know what? I'd be one of his 12 apostles.
I'd give him 10% of my paycheck.
Right? Church of David.
He's so fucking cool.
He's so fucking rad. I was going to say, actually, we could have gotten tickets because our mutual friend Mandy's cousin, Shannon had extra tickets. And needed to, or she at least had a friend who had extra tickets. I was like, I'm interested. She's like, message me, and then I never did because I didn't know if I was going to be back from Texas or not. But
yeah, well, it turns out there was tons of tickets. My friend Moses went, and he said it was like, there was so much room. And, that little kid... a couple of years back, Nandy Bushnell.
Yes,
she was
little English chick.
Yes, I think.
And by chick, she's like 5. Like,
yeah, I think she was maybe. I'm making it up, but she was, I think, under 10. Yeah. When she first challenged Dave Grohl on the internet to like a drum off. And
right.
He was just like, who's this kid? And he's like, all right, and he takes it easy on her or whatever, and she smokes him.
Right.
And he's like, okay, shit. Like, I better not play nice. And she, so that they continued to have this like fun camaraderie or whatever.
Oh, that's
challenging each other.
Again, Dave Grohl, fucking rad.
Super cool. And apparently she plays a lot of instruments too, but she's a really cool drummer. And she's 11 now, I think.
Okay.
But last night Dave Grohl brought her out on stage, and
she got to play. Rad.
She got to play with the Foo Fighters on stage at the Forum.
Could you even imagine?
I know.
Could you imagine being 11 years old and being like, holy shit?
Exactly. And there's clips of her. Actually, Craig sent me a clip earlier where she just like stands up on that seat, and she's got the drumsticks up in the air, and she's like just twirling them like a professional, and everyone's cheering for her.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it looked really fun. So I'm super jealous of anybody who got to be at that show, because I've been following that little thing since it started. I really wanted to point that out too, because I love the fact that it was like vaccinated or stay home, motherfuckers.
Right? And I have plenty of anti-vax, anti-mask clients that I talk to, which, I love everybody, but it's annoying. I don't know if I talked about this last time because I was blacked out, but I found out how vaccines work. I had no idea. Like, I never thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, just that it's something that goes into your system, triggers a immune response, and then is out of your body within 3 days.
Yeah.
I think it's worth saying every single episode. So if you're just listening to this one episode, it's the first time you're here, and you're not going to go back and listen to previous episodes, now you're getting it here too.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I had no idea that that's how that worked. And like, it's like, well, it's not even living in my system. It just triggered an immune response and it's gone. Mm-hmm. What's the big fucking deal?
Right. Big fucking deal is that it's taking away your freedoms.
You tell me I gotta have a vaccination? I know that my child had to have one before to go to school for the mumps, but this is different.
I'm gonna get her a fake mask so she can go to school.
Fuck.
Learn about Robert E. Lee. How about we hear a word from our sponsors?
I think that's a solid plan.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back to the show.
That was fun.
Always is. That creative director, she is a hoot.
And just a national treasure.
Just a gem of a lady.
I think we're gonna finally tell some stories.
I guess you guys deserve some stories.
I want to tell you some really great stories that
Whose
I'm super
story do you think
jazzed
is going to
about.
be better? Because if your story's better than mine, I'll go first so we can end on a high note.
I don't know. Mine's pretty fucking good.
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
So, mine's pretty good too, but, you do a lot more preparation.
Well, I think we have a theme at least, unintentionally, because of Dave Grohl and our love and gratitude towards him and
not
his
worthy
performance
not worthy
in life.
So I'm going to talk about the time that I went to go see Styx, REO Speedwagon, and 38 Special.
Every time you say this, I'm like, who's 38 Special?
Hold on loosely, but don't let go. You hold on tightly or something. You're gonna lose control. Something like that.
Thank you. We'll be
You're
here all week.
welcome. So anyways, it was a trio of awesomeness. But it starts off, we get to I believe it was the Nokia Theater in Los Angeles. And of course, as we do, we tailgate. This was not the very first show I went to with Craig, because I've been to a lot of really good shows with him. But this was the one that I don't remember the best. The man is a great tailgater. Like, he taught me how to do it proper. Like, we put out a rug.
Yeah.
Chairs. Sometimes a lamp. Clarice. But we always have Rod Stewart, which is a little, cardboard record album cover. Rod is always with us at every concert. We just got trashed. Like, we were drinking vodka and lemonade. It was me, Molly, Craig, a bunch of the boys that we hung out with. And yeah, it was a good time. And I'm sure there's some more tailgating stories in there. And Jacob, of course. Some dude showed up with his kids. A Taylor Swift concert was going on right next door. And so this poor dude with his little teeny bopper kids, like, oh, Taylor Swift's like, you want a shot? And he's like, yes, please. Oh my God, yes. I don't know why their mother didn't take them to this. And they're like, you guys get to go see Styx? Shit. Like, it was kind of rad. But like I said, it's like, well, shots after shots, and we start to leave. I'm feeling good. Then we stop by a bar before we get in. We do another shot. We get our seats, which are not nosebleeds, but they're not great either. They're in the further back. And I don't know how to tell the story because I don't remember a lot of it. But it starts off with REO Speedwagon. So I'm like, oh, REO Speedwagon sings this? Oh, they sing this? Oh, I had no idea. I mean, much that you would do if you had went to a show, because you would be like, I know this song. And it was great. And then I started getting hazy. And I don't really remember anything, which means I blacked out for REO Speedwagon, which is a disappointment.
That is a disappointment.
Because I do love me some REO, and I'm like, but I cannot remember a single bit of it. Like, I might be able to remember, like going, what? But I think I sat down, and they're like movie theater seats in there, and I sat down and I maybe took a little bit of a sleep.
Oh, I think... maybe I heard it wrong, but I think you said, because I thought you said REO Speedwagon came on and you were like, oh, I know this song.
No, 38 Special.
Oh, okay, so 38 Special opened.
REO Speedwagon was the middle one, and then we ended on Styx, which I conveniently came back for. I was like, I'm not blacked out anymore, woo!
And now the shame about REO Speedwagon, because they have so many hits.
I know!
It's like my entire karaoke catalog.
To be fair, if I could, this show, to me, was like, oh, it's some 80s bands, whatever. I like Mr. Roboto. Like, that would have been my thing when I was there. I was 25, so this was a while ago, right?
You didn't know.
I didn't know better. I was just like, I knew the other songs a little bit, but that's why I was like, I know the song. But yeah, completely blacked out for REO. But yeah, I came back for Styx, And I got back with our group, and I was talking to Jacob, our friend, and I was like, man, I wish I could get to the front. He's like, just go to the front then. I'm like, can't you just go to the front? He's like, I think you could get to the front. Something like that. Honestly, I don't really remember, but I was dared. I was dared to get to the front of the stage, and Styx hadn't come on yet. So I was like, I can make this happen, I think. So there's people on the aisles, right, to get up by the stage, and I'm like...
People like checkers?
Like checkers, yeah, checking your tickets. And I'm like, well, I can't go that way. There's no way I could get past him. But I could jump over these seats. And so I, with my hands on the back of the seat, put my legs over, and I do that about 3 or 4 times, and, I'd stop and look, and nobody's seeing what I'm doing. I'm like, sweet. Smart thing would have been to go then to the aisle and then go to the front. But I think, I don't know. I still, feel like it would have been hard to get up there. The first 3 rows, I don't realize it at the time, are folding chairs. So when I go to pull myself over, as I've been doing this whole time, I just eat shit. I swear, I'm in a circle surrounded by fallen over folding chairs. It's a nightmare. And I'm just like, oh, God, I'm so embarrassed I fell. Nobody saw what I did, I guess. I don't know. They might have. I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, somebody helps me up. We put the chairs back. It's fine. And now I'm next to the stage. And I'm like, I'm just going to stay here. And so I did. And I think it took the people sitting there, because nobody was sitting there, everybody was standing. It took them a little while to realize, I shouldn't have been there. So, Tommy Shaw comes out. I don't remember the other dudes' names. They're all awesome, though. But, we're rocking. We're having a pretty good time. And I'm enjoying myself. And then I'm looking over, smiling, and there's Jacob standing right next to me. I'm like, how the fuck? I had to eat shit to get up here. How did you get here? And he's like, I have my ways. And I'm like, that man can sneak anywhere. He's amazing.
Did he do a crime against nature with one of the seating attendants?
Maybe. But yeah, anyway, so we rock out for a few songs, and then, I don't really remember how that happened, but next thing I know, somebody's touching my butt. I'm kind of like, oh, I'm not. And there's this part of my brain that was like, well, I want to keep standing here. Am I just going to let him touch my butt because I just want to keep standing here or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. And some dude kind of gets in a fight with him. And he's just like, oh, dude, that's not cool. And I'm like, oh, okay, so somebody also sees that this is happening. This isn't cool. And I tell Jacob, I'm like, Jacob, I think it's time to go. And he's just like, oh, I'm not leaving. I just got here. And I'm like, I think it's probably time to go. And he's like, you can go if you want to. And the 2 dudes now, the guy who's saying, you can't do that to her, and then the guy who was touching my butt, were yelling at each other. And Jacob, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go. He's like, okay, grab the guy who touched your butt's bag before you go. Because there's a swag bag. So it's a tote bag that says REO Speedwagon on one side, Styx on the other, and it had their new CD in there. I'll find this out later after. I didn't know what was in there. I didn't even know they had swag bags. Jake, oblivious to pretty much everything, but Jacob's like, grab that guy's bag. And I'm like, great idea. So I grab it, I leave, and then I hear somebody go, I think that girl just grabbed your bag. And then I don't know if anybody's following behind me, and I kind of feel like a dick about it, but he touched my butt, so fuck him. And then I just remember Serpentine. And so I serpentine between not just the crowd, but also I went up one row of seats, and then I'd go down one row of seats as I'm trying to get, so I'm on one side of the theater trying to get to the other side of the theater as I'm going up and down trying to find my friends. And at the time I don't have big vivid hair, so it's not quite as easy to find me. And so I'm just like, ah, shit. And I get back, and when I go through it, it's a gold mine of shit. It's awesome. The swag bag was bitchin'.
What was in there?
So there was wine, charms to see which one, but it said 38 Special, REO Speedwagon, Styx. Mm-hmm. There was a sweatband. One was Styx, one was REO Speedwagon. I think I still have it. I definitely have the tote bag still. And then it had a cardboard, record holder thing of, I think, Styx' new album, but it had a CD in it. It wasn't an actual record.
Yeah.
I think that was it. If there was more, I don't remember. But, it was a long time. This was, 12 years ago? 13? No, yeah, longer than that. A lot of years ago.
Do you remember, meeting back up with your friends?
So I met up, I found Dana and Craig, and, Jacob just stayed there. But I did find them. And then this dude was talking to Craig all night, and actually, side funny story, was Craig gave him his number so they could swap pictures because, like, cell phones, you didn't really take pictures so much. We had, like, digital cameras, and that guy hounded Craig forever to the point where Craig had to give his phone to somebody else and just say, yeah, you keep calling this number. I don't know who this Craig person is. Right? And it was just like, I'm pretty sure he was in love with Craig.
Stalker.
I could see why. I mean, Craig's a cool dude.
With fabulous taste in music.
Clearly. But yeah, I definitely met up with them, and honestly, I don't remember the rest of the night. Like, I blacked back out again.
Fuck that guy who touched your butt.
Right? Fuck that guy. Thanks for the swag bag, dick.
My story actually is also concert related.
Shocker.
And I was trying to think about every little detail because this was the very first concert I ever went to. Aside from, you know, like we would go see little $5 all ages shows, you know,
right.
at the fucking, what was that place called? Erica always jokes about it.
Electric something.
No. It's like the Veterans League, the VFA lounge, or the something lounge. But it's like the Eagles, basically.
Okay.
Eagles Club of Utah. I'm going to have to repent for that later. But anyway, bands at the time were like Offspring, you know, bands that got big.
Right.
But at the time were just like little
super,
nobody bands
right.
that were playing with your friends' bands.
Right.
Stuff like that. But the first real, like, arena concert I ever went to this is the story I want to tell you guys. It was Metallica, and it was their Black Album tour.
Ooh.
And it was in 1992 in Salt Lake City at the Delta Center, which is not the Delta Center anymore. I actually Googled this because we were going to do this story a couple weeks ago, and it's like I have to look it up because it's so ridiculous what it's called.
So
now.
I have to say, it's like Black Album release. That means that even if they're playing, this is off of our new album, it's going to not be that bad, right? Because there's nothing worse than, so we're going to play a couple new ones for you. You're like, oh, stop it. Just play the old shit that's awesome.
Well, everybody thought that about the Black Album. Like, if you liked the Black Album, you were a
poser.
poser.
I agree. I've been saying this forever, and I didn't even grow up listening to Metallica. I grew up listening to the Black Album, and then I listened to the earlier stuff, and I was like, so they wanted to win a Grammy, so they made the Black Album. Okay, got it. And they won like 3, so good for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they became the lamest.
They really got lame.
Got so fucking lame.
The Delta Center, when I went there, it was called the Delta Center. Now it's called the Vivint Arena, which is... Vivint is an architecture firm. Vivint Smart Home Arena. Which I just thought was so fucking funny. I don't know why that's funnier than the Delta Center. Because, you know, Delta Airlines, but...
Oh, I guess you're right. But home entertainment or whatever, like...
Smart Home.
Smart Home.
Smart Home Arena.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. It reminds me of, shit, what's that movie? Welcome to Costco, we love you.
It's...
Idiocracy. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a very Idiocracy feel to it. But anyway, so this is my very first concert. I don't know if I had to sneak out or if Dad let me go, but this was, it was 1992. The show was 1992, February 2nd or something. But back in the day, back when I was in high school, you had to get concert tickets, you had to actually show up and wait in line at the place that was selling the tickets, and
right.
in Logan it was Smith's.
Right.
They had Smith Ticks. And so we would go and we would wait out all night long. We would sleep out overnight in order to try to get good seats. And they wouldn't start giving out the... Well, let me back up. So my plan for this show was to show up at like lunchtime the day before. So I left school, I ditched the last classes of the day, I left school at lunch, and I went to go wait in line, and I was the first person there. Nobody else was there yet, because I fucking loved Metallica. If I didn't preface this, by the way, Metallica was my favorite fucking band. I loved everything about them.
She hid her New Kids on the Block poster so that nobody would know that she once liked them, because Metallica was now her band, right?
I was obsessed. No, I literally went from loving New Kids on the Block to selling my New Kids on the Block tickets and getting rid of all of my posters. The one that you're thinking that I hid, which
right.
was underneath my mattress. It was only there because I forgot about it.
How dare you?
I legit got rid of all that stuff, and I was like, that's little kid stuff. Now I'm into fucking Metallica. Okay.
God, you're
Charlotte.
lame. I mean, cool, but lame.
You know what? That you're right, but let me tell my story.
Okay, go on.
So I get there at lunchtime. Nobody's waiting in line. I'm the first person there. I'm fucking obsessed with Metallica, and so I realize I talk to the people and they're like, "Oh, well, you know, we hand out bracelets so that you know what place you are in line, but we won't start handing out the bracelets until 10 people are in line." And so I was like, oh, okay, perfect. So I went back to school. I got 10 of my friends. We all went back to Smith's, and we're like, okay, we're here to wait in line. Can we have our wristbands so that you know what place we are in line? And one person was there at this point. So the one person I had
Bitch.
in me, right? And I was like, fuck. So we all got our wristbands, you know, and this guy was stoked because I brought 10 friends to pretend that they're standing in line. So, and then this became the normal thing every time after this. Whenever we'd wait in line for concert tickets, you'd always bring 10 people, so they'd give you your wristband. So really, like, you were number 1, then whoever was number 11 was number 2.
Right,
because the rest of those people were just there so you could get your wristband.
Right.
That was my idea.
You're a smart cookie.
By the way, anybody in Utah who's ever done that, I thought of that.
I'm the one who thought of it. I'm the genius.
So anyway, so now there's 2 of us in line, and we wait, you know, all throughout the night, through the next morning till 9 a.m. or whatever when the tickets go on sale. And I've done this a few times, so I'm trying not to mix up the stories because I've done it for Metallica at least twice. And you would bring out sleeping bags and pillows and snacks and, like, you know, chairs, and it was a legit thing, like,
right.
And you were with a bunch of other fans, so it was like
tailgating,
but all night long, camp over.
That's fucking rad.
Parking lot.
I'm sad I never got to do that.
Yeah, it was really fucking fun. And
just crash the internet.
Yeah, this definitely pre-internet. And so I remember for sure it was not winter time. Like, the concert took place in February, and that was winter time, but sleeping out at Smith's was not.
Probably
it
August.
was in the summertime.
Yeah.
So it was like you got your tickets 6 months in advance or whatever.
Right.
And so we're out there, you know, and this guy who's in front of me, you know, my friends would come and go, and, you know, there'd be people hanging out, and there was, like, I think a core group of us, maybe 3 or 4. No, there would have had to have been.
Could you take your wristband off for the person that wasn't staying and give it to a friend who did want tickets?
It's the kind that were hard to get off,
yeah,
so you'd have to be sneaky about it. There's probably a way, but it wasn't easy.
Just checking.
Yeah. It's the same wristbands that they use at venues today. You
right.
know, they make them so that they're hard to get off. But so I had so there was me, and then eventually by the time that, you know, came to buy the tickets the next morning, there were 6 of us, because we, you know, you could only buy it in groups of 6, and there were 6 of us that wanted to go. And I had been, you know, chatting with this guy who was in front of me in line all night long. He was a mega fan. I was a mega fan. Everybody in line, obviously, are diehard fans. So we're having this great time. All this camaraderie is going on. We're getting super fucking stoked when it comes to 9 a.m. the next day to go inside and buy the tickets, right? So this guy's first. He goes in and buys his tickets, and, you know, we see him coming out. Well, it's not like you have to go in one at a time, but, like, we're standing right there waiting to buy our tickets, and so he leaves, comes out the back of the line. He's like, fuck yeah, I got my tickets, you know. So we go up to get our tickets, and we buy our 6 tickets or whatever. Then we leave, and he's waiting out in front of Smith's, and he's like, what seats did you guys get? And we had gotten like the 11th row, which wasn't too far back from the stage. Pretty good, right? For the Delta Center, or whatever it's fucking called now.
So for that second in line, did you have to pay more for better seats? Still kind of a thing?
No.
Or they buy you an 11th line if you're the second person there.
Well, because every place that sells tickets to the Delta Center is selling them at the same time.
You're right. Sorry.
You know, so it's the same thing as being in a virtual queue.
Right.
But you're just, so everybody who's first in line probably gets the first 11 rows. Everybody who's second in line, and then it's, and depending on how many tickets you're buying too.
Right.
You know.
Okay, now that makes sense. I didn't think about it like that.
But we were stoked at 11th
row.
Oh,
fuck yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, I'm like, Mama.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't as stoked as I could have been, but I was stoked. We go outside, and he's like, what did you guys get? You know, we got 11th row. He's like, oh, man. He's like, you know, I know you guys are, like, such hardcore fans and everything. He's like, I'll tell you what. I'll trade you my tickets. I got first row. He's like, I'll trade you my tickets for your tickets plus $50. And I was like, are you serious? And like I said, camaraderie. All night long I've been talking to this guy. I've been sitting next to him for...
Why would he not want to be first row?
That's because he said, I know you guys are such big fans. Like, this is your first concert. I want it to be special for you.
Oh, that's really nice.
I'll give you my tickets. We'll just do an even trade, 6 for 6. And you give me $50 on top of it, and we'll call it even. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Yeah, I know. Charlotte's giving me a look like something's
I'm
not
like,
right
no,
here.
no one does that. This isn't a thing.
They don't. So we switch tickets. We give them the $50. We go inside to see where our seats are on the map. And our seats don't exist. It's like section something crazy, something. And we're looking and they're not there. And we're like, fuck. And then it took us a minute to realize that we kind of got scammed, right? And I was just like, no, I cannot believe this. And so we wait, 30 minutes or so to try to talk to somebody after, like, the line dies down and everybody gets their tickets. And they're like, yeah, that's weird. I don't see these tickets on this map. This is so weird. You know what? I'll tell you what. We'll figure this out. Don't worry about it. If for some reason there's been an error and you got issued these tickets by mistake, we'll just give you guys some backstage passes. And we're like, what? Okay. Sure, we'll take backstage passes. And so they weren't able to figure it out right then and there, so we walk out and the guy's just waiting outside. And he's like, how'd you like those seats? Just kind of to be an absolute dick.
Wow, that's really fucked up.
Right? After all night long of hanging out with this guy or whatever. And I was like... I really pulled my shit together, and in classic Mandi form, I was like, oh man, I don't know. The tickets aren't even on the map. He's like, oh really? That sucks. And I was like, yeah, it totally sucks. That's okay though, we got backstage passes instead. He's like, what? I was like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Anyways,
what a cunt.
Right. Super fucking cunt. Anyways, to the act, that's like a whole, its own story in and of itself.
Right.
Which never ruined waiting out in line for concerts for me. I did it a million times after that. In fact, it got to the point where people would bring TVs out and like generators. Like we were watching Ozzy videos one night while we were waiting to buy tickets to Ozzy, Slaughter, and Ugly Kid Joe, which is another story.
Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's actually a really funny story.
Write it down.
So, anyways, what actually ended up happening with those tickets is that particular show, they called that tour an Evening with Metallica. Mm-hmm. And I actually was like, who opened for them? Because I was trying to remember. I was doing all this research, and it turns out nobody opened for them because where they would have slotted an opening or two opening acts, they just had a video playing of, like, outtake scenes of themselves backstage.
I knew they were fucking douchebags.
Yeah, it's a real douchey move in retrospect. At the time,
it was like, fucking rad,
yeah,
right?
We were like, oh my god, all Metallica all the time. But it's like, wow, you're not even going to give like a band the opportunity to like be heard.
Not fucking surprised, bro.
Yeah, rude. But anyway, so the thing with this...
Okay, I need to know.
Yeah, the thing with this concert was, so it's an Evening with Metallica. They have, at the time, it was this revolutionary type of thing where they had this special stage built. And it was kind of like a diamond-shaped stage.
I need to get back to these tickets. Did they actually give you the backstage passes right then?
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay,
that's what I'm getting at. So it's like a diamond-shaped stage. It's different, which is why the seats weren't on the map, because it's not a traditionally shaped stage, right? So they have all the regular tickets, and then these weird tickets that didn't make any sense were like actually closer to the stage than you would have gotten on any other normal setup, because...
So they weren't counterfeit tickets. He just didn't understand
the map. Which we didn't either. That's why we waited so long to get somebody to help us figure out where our seats were. And even the people selling the tickets couldn't help us at the time, because they're like, these seats aren't on the map. So we waited like a week to figure out, a week thinking we might get backstage passes. Which
I thought I would have heard about backstage pass.
Yeah, which we didn't end up getting. But it turns out, so we were actually... So the design of this stage was, at the time... Nobody else had done this. Now it's like the Backstreet Boys model.
Right.
But so you have the middle of the stage is cut out, and they were calling that the snake pit.
Right.
So if you got in the snake pit, you were like in the middle of the stage, which would have been fucking awesome. That wasn't me.
Right.
But there was like, so if you imagine the barrier is, a straight line, and then there's little pockets of area that's closer to the stage, which is past a straight line of a barrier. So we're next to the stage in those pockets. So basically we're closer than the front row tickets would have been, but we're not quite in the snake pit.
Got it.
So it was...
Probably the best seats.
It was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome. And I was going through trying to figure out, like, I wanted to make sure I had the dates and everything so that I could really tell the story properly. And somebody, God bless the internet, with their old-ass over-the-shoulder VHS home camera taped that whole show.
Oh, that's fucking
And I haven't got to watch it yet, but I was watching little bits of it right before we started this recording. And there's this one point where, well, first of all, they do their first encore like halfway through the show, which is another super douchey move. They're like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, good night, Metallica. And you're like, what?
You paid for 45 minutes, you asshole.
And then they come out and play some more, then they leave again, then they do another encore. I think they ended up doing like
17.
If not 2, they did at least 2, maybe 3 encores. But at one point, there was one point of that show where they did the song Seek and Destroy.
Right.
And James Hetfield came off the stage and he came around to the front, so basically those little pockets and then the very front center of the regular rail. He walked all around that and he would pick people and he would sing the line, "Searching," and then he would put the mic to the audience and then they would
and
yell,
destroy.
They would yell, "Seek and destroy." And he got around to me and I was the very, very last person that he hit, but he put the mic out and I grabbed that mic and I sang "Seek and Destroy" with all of my heart. And to the point where he actually stood back and looked at me and he kind of gave me this nod with like squinty eyes like, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Like, fuck yeah, me and James Hetfield just had a moment. Even afterwards they had they were filming it, and projecting it on the big screens.
Right.
Which, looking back at that video now, the
like
screens are so tiny compared to like seeing Tool or somebody like today.
9 Inch Nails. Were you at that show in Seattle? Like it was just floor to ceiling.
Yeah, it's huge now. So it's these little monitors up there. But my friends afterwards were like, "Oh my god, we saw you singing with James Hetfield on the screen," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
That's rad.
It was like my crowning glory of my teenage years.
So, just a side note, I've been telling that story for years. Incorrectly. Well, because I don't know why I would even be telling your story of the time you went to go see Metallica. I think I was trying to be like, our stepmom's a bitch kind of a thing, because she washed your overalls, right? Like, these were the overalls I went and saw Metallica and I'm never washing them.
That sounds like something I would say.
Right? And what this is a story I've been telling, I could have sworn was accurate, was that somehow James Hetfield asked you to be on stage to go sing with him for probably Seek and Destroy, but that he held onto your overall like that as you sang into it, and that's why you could never like wash them. Now I don't know where the disconnect has happened, but that I've told that story for years.
That would have been cool,
right? And I had it all like envisioned in my brain too, like, come on up, like, you're so rad, come on the stage. You get up there like, me, oh okay, I guess. And then get up there and be like, Seek and Destroy, and then but do it while like he's holding your overall strap. I don't know. That's the story I've been telling.
No, not accurate. That would have been cool, but that's not what happened. One funny thing, actually there's 2 funny things about being able to watch that video, because I would have a different not a different perspective, but I would have been missing this one perspective, which is one thing I thought of, being able to see the video taken so long ago. So where I was standing on the stage, I was standing on Kirk Hammett's side of the stage, so I guess it would be like stage left.
Right.
And he's just a very young baby Kirk Hammett at the time, as we all were in 1992.
Right.
And I'm watching him up there on the stage, on the video, like, this is me right now, watching the video of me watching him on the stage. It's weird.
Was that meta?
It's super meta. And just, I remember, I got that feeling of just being so in awe by this guy who could just fucking shred, and being able to see his fingers, like, work their magic. Yeah, and just, like, mind blown. And then fast forward to, like, 5 years ago, where it's just like he just shops at the store every day that I work at, and I'm just like, hey, here's your shampoo or your eggs or whatever. And it's just like such a non-thing. It's just like, yeah, that dude lives down the street from the store that I work at.
Like, yeah, I guess it's pretty cool.
But yeah, and I was like, it's funny that he comes in here now, and it's just like such a non-thing. But I remember being in love with him, just so in love with him. Not him particularly, but just the sound and the band and the whole thing at the time. And then actually seeing that video tonight, it just brought all of that back. Like,
reignited your awesomeness.
Dude, when they started playing one of their encores, one of their thousands of encores that they did that night, they played For Whom the Bell Tolls, and just, I'm like almost getting...
No, you do. You have goosebumps.
I was watching that on the video, and it's like when they start playing For Whom the Bell Tolls, I fucking lost my shit. And just like I lost my shit when I was on the floor when that song came on, I was like, no way, this is like my favorite song.
That's rad.
Yeah, it was really such a epic night. Yeah, the next tour they did was the Guns N' Roses. Was it Guns N' Roses and Metallica? And Dad wouldn't let me go to it. Oh no, it was Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith.
Well, because Dad has good taste in music.
Dad wouldn't let me go because it was a school night.
Dad,
for some
I always
reason
knew Dad had
him.
good taste in music.
God, just telling this story, I have so many more concert stories.
I do, but they're not very good. Like, I went and saw Van Morrison. Worst show I've ever been to.
No, we only tell good stories.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, I guess it has a funny, but not enough for a full story, so I'll just say it now. Like, he literally, like, my favorite song is Caravan. I couldn't tell that he was singing that till he got to the chorus, and I'm like, "Aw, dude, you suck." But I was like, "Oh, maybe he's just old. He can't hit those notes anymore." Because I also like old man music. It's my favorite. But then he'd sing a new song, "Clear as a Bell," and I'm like, "Oh, you piece of shit!" But in the Orpheum Theater, you're not allowed to bring cocktails into it because it's like a vintage, whatever. But they do have a bar that has a projector up, so you can watch the show from the bar if you want to go have a drink for a little bit or whatever. And I'm like, Craig, I'm giving him 2 more songs, and if it's this bullshit all night, I'm going to the bar because I'm thirsty. Because true to fashion, me and Craig partied out in the car beforehand, and so sure enough, bullshit. I'm like, we're out of here. So we leave, we go down, we have a drink, we're sitting on these, like, random seats just kind of watching the projector, and Craig and I are talking, and Craig just stops and goes, "Oh, hey, Jeff." And I'm like, "Jeff? Like, do we know someone here? Like, who's like, Craig's got plenty of friends I don't know." So I'm like, "Well, who's your friend Jeff?" Jeff Garland from, fucking, I don't want to say whose line is it.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Also now the Goldbergs, and he's in a lot of different things, but at the time it was mainly just Curb. And so he walks all the way over. The dude is fucking stoned, by the way. Like, he's just like, "Hey, dudes, what's up?" or whatever. And Craig's like, "Oh, hey, just enjoying the show." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do I know you guys?" Craig's like, "No." Oh, no, sorry. Craig was probably going to come up with some bullshit. I immediately said, No. He's like, just fans of the show? We're like, yeah. And he's just like, "Cool, you guys have a good night." We're like, "You have a good night, too." Like, that was it. So it was like kind of a funny story, but not worth the whole story. Nice guy.
Yeah, that was nice of him to come over.
Well, he thought he knew us. So, I mean, to be fair, he did look slightly annoyed, like, "You fuckers." Like, just fans of the show? All right, great.
Well, that's what you get, Jeff, for putting your real name as a character on a show that becomes popular.
Right? Like, because well, we would have known his name was Jeff Garland anyways, but, because I think his name's Jeff Green on the show.
Yeah.
But Jeff.
Oh,
anyways,
yeah.
Right? But yeah. Good times.
Hopefully we'll have some great stories to tell when we see our show coming up next month in Vegas.
That's right, I totally blocked off those days and couldn't remember why and booked some people on it, so I gotta move them.
Yeah, you do. We're gonna have some epic concert stories.
It's gonna be fucking I'm not gonna black out, so I'll be able to remember them clearly-ish. Yay. How can we be excellent to each other?
I overheard a lady in the salon the other day, 2 ladies kind of talking and kind of starting to get into it, because one lady was talking about how she was on a cruise and Biden, did this mask thing, and now they all have to wear masks on the cruise because of Biden, and something else because of Biden. And the other lady was just like, "You keep saying Biden, like, why do you feel the need to blame it on one person? Like, the federal government doesn't control if a cruise ship mandates masks."
Right.
But she was being very
nice about it.
and kind and turning, kind of like I do at work. Like, you turn everything into a question,
Right.
rather than getting in an argument with somebody. Like,
Smart.
Why is it that you think that? Yeah, I noticed you said that 3 times now. Why is that? And kind of make them think about their actions.
Right.
To the point where the lady just didn't want to have a conversation anymore. And just stopped talking. And as the other lady was leaving, the lady who was like, "Why do you keep doing that?" She was like, "I'm sorry if I offended you. I was just talking, Oh, and the lady's like, "Oh, that's fine. We all have our opinions," but you could tell she was annoyed at being contradicted.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's a good technique I think everybody can use. Like,
yeah.
Well, why?
Make them explain why they're saying what they're saying.
I like it.
Maybe that's one way we can all help each other to be a little bit more accountable for the things that we do and say.
Right? Because don't get me wrong. I go on tangents about shit that I don't know enough to go on tangents about shit all the time. because I like to hear myself talk.
Which is why you started a podcast.
Yo, welcome. So if you also enjoy this podcast, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps.
We like 5 stars.
They're my favorite.
Head on over to YouTube where you can subscribe and like to our YouTube channel.
And check out our website. We've got some merch. We haven't put our artwork up yet, though. We need to get on it. Oh, mine's not ready.
We're on all the social medias. We're on Instagram,
Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest,
Twitter.
I forget.
And lastly, you guys know how much we love our patrons, and you too can become one of our best friend inner circle patrons.
Yes, I mean
only $3 a month.
Only $3 a month. I mean, that's less than a latte.
It's definitely less than a beer. We could host our own cruise. Bad Mormons.
Please, can we do it? Can we do it?
Yes, you can. Only for the patrons. We love you guys. And with that, aloha.
Aloha, bitches.
And fucking keep rocking.
Yeah, keep on. You know, I can't think of a Styx song, but I'm trying to come up with one. Give me a minute.
Seek and destroy.
Seek and destroy. Mr. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
I've already cut it.
God damn it.
I already stopped it.
Listen, I've got funny things to say.
Oh, hold on. Stop. And stop.